Do you know why insults feel heavier than ordinary words during pressure? What if an attack is only a frame demanding your automatic obedience? If you want control, learn how intelligent minds convert insults into leverage. An insult is a forced frame that defines you before you speak. If you accept the frame, your words fight inside someone else's boundaries. Your first task is not defense. Your first task is reframing reality. Reframing begins before language. It begins with the body and attention. Attention is the master lever, because meaning follows whatever attention obeys first. So you must take back attention before answering any provocative line. Use a quiet four-step ritual whenever an insult touches your system. Scan. Breathe, name, and question. Then let timing choose your expression. The scan is soft and brief. Eyes, jaw, shoulders, and stomach. This prevents automatic fusion between emotion and identity during heat. 2. Neutral breaths follow. Gentle inhale, brief pause, longer soft exhale. Neutral breaths signal baseline safety and keep dignity visible without force. Now name the inner event in a short private phrase. Say inside, bait detected, or boundary touched, or reputation challenged. Very simply, naming turns heat into information, and information reduces reflexive compliance. Then ask a precise internal question that widens your field. Ask, what frame is being offered, and who benefits if I accept? Questions interrupt the script that insults try to install inside you. Understand the architecture behind every insult that seeks control. There are 3 layers: bait, frame, and hook, always in sequence. Bait is the sting that pulls your attention into emotional speed. Frame is the story that tries to define what your response means. Hook is the identity. Grab that attaches your worth to their judgment. Intelligent minds dismantle each layer without adding heat or noise. Start with bait, which is designed to measure your predictability quickly. You do not strike back. You document the pattern silently inside awareness. Note the timing, the pause before delivery, and the exact emotional direction. Your stillness denies them the map they hope to draw. A mind without readable rhythm is extremely difficult to manipulate. Unreadability is defense, not deception, and it protects real autonomy. Next, handle frame. Because meaning matters more than individual words. Insults often smuggle a false premise that demands your agreement. If you defend inside that premise, you strengthen their hidden narrative. So you shift the lens to criteria and verifiable standards immediately. Say calmly, let us define the standard we are using for evaluation. Structure moves attention from heat to proof, and proof cools rooms. Then cut the hook that pretends to judge your entire essence. Split evaluation from identity in one sentence within your mind. Say, this targets behavior, not being, and behavior can be adjusted rationally. Identity separation keeps the nervous system steady while thinking clearly. A steady system speaks with weight, and weight changes outcomes quietly. Reactions crave speed. Authority prefers unhurried cadence and exact phrasing. Use the triad of clarify, constrain, and choose to steer control. Clarify asks for definitions, evidence, and explicit comparison points. Constrain narrows the stage so chaos cannot expand mid-conversation. Choose selects the smallest effective move that preserves options and dignity. You might request time. You might request examples, or propose fair criteria. Minimal moves carry maximum force when posture remains calm and present. Learn linguistic judo lines that redirect attack without aggression. Say, that is one interpretation. Another reading may fit the facts better. Say, if the aim is accuracy, let us compare against shared metrics. Say, I will respond after review, not before, and not during pressure. These lines protect standards while signaling fairness and stability. Stability is persuasive because it regulates nervous systems around you. Control also depends on tempo, the hidden ruler of perception. Insults try to raise tempo until you spill information or pride. You break the spell by answering at your pace, not theirs. Count 2 slow heartbeats before speaking. Then use short, clean sentences. Calm tempo makes the room align with you unconsciously. The one who sets tempo quietly controls perceived authority. Watch for 3 common insult designs that pretend to be truth. First is the absolute frame. It uses words like always or never. Second is the audience frame. It claims that everyone agrees against you. Third is the moral frame. It paints disagreement as a character flaw. Disarm absolutes by returning to specifics over generalities without blame. Disarm audience claims by requesting verifiable sources and concrete examples. Disarm moral frames through procedural fairness that respects values and proportion. Say, respect matters here, so we will weigh facts and impact carefully. You anchor the conversation to process, which protects clarity and dignity. Process is the armor that insults cannot easily pierce. Without process, emotions decide the verdict before evidence appears. With process, evidence becomes the only valid currency in the room. Remember that intelligent minds never waste force on unnecessary conflict. They conserve energy by letting silence do work when needed. Silence with soft eyes and steady breath feels authoritative, not avoidant. A measured pause often makes the insult echo back to its source. Echo exposure reveals intent more clearly than any lecture. Once intent is visible, the room adjusts without your demand. Build a phrasing bank before storms so you never scramble under pressure. Prepare cooling lines, boundary lines, and review lines in advance. Cooling lines reduce heat, such as let us slow down for accuracy. Boundary lines protect standards, such as that approach conflicts with my criteria. Review lines create time, such as I will evaluate and return by tomorrow. Preparation makes composure feel natural, not forced or performative. Never confuse suppression with discipline. They are different in practice and feeling. Suppression buries emotion and leaks through tone and posture later. Discipline converts emotion into precise action with awareness intact. Conversion is done through breath, naming, and structured language. The system becomes repeatable and reliable across different pressures. Reliability builds credibility, and credibility becomes soft power that lasts. Insults also target unmet needs, especially validation, belonging, and safety. If you chase validation, you become easy to steer with praise. If you chase belonging, you surrender standards to avoid distance. If you chase safety, you over-explain to earn temporary peace. Identify which need gets loud, then serve it through principle, not approval. Let integrity meet validation. Let truth meet belonging. Let process meet safety. Practice energetic hygiene after contact with strong provocation or heavy sarcasm. Sit briefly in stillness and ask which emotions still linger inside. Name them, breathe through them, and release what does not belong. Without cleanup, residue guides tomorrow without your consent. With cleanup, awareness returns and posture resets to neutral. Clean posture is a message. I own my state without apology. Understand the advanced move called negative space reframing. Instead of fighting the insult, you redefine what is being measured. Say, strength here means consistency under pressure, not volume under stress. Say, respect means staying with facts even when emotions run high. You change the scoreboard without argument, and the game ends quietly. People feel the shift and often recalibrate without humiliation. There is also the tactic of measured concession used by intelligent minds. You concede a small uncontested point to remove friction and gain focus. Say, you are right about that detail, and this part still needs clarity. Concession without collapse signals confidence and redirects attention. Weakness seeks total victory. Strength seeks accurate resolution. Accuracy is the crown that makes every exchange dignified and useful. Be mindful of pride and composure, because pride opens a secret door. The moment you admire your stillness, you start performing it for approval. Performative calm invites precise attacks that target your reputation for calm. Lose the performance, keep the posture, and remain unadvertised. Quiet minds rarely need witnesses. They prefer reliable outcomes. Reliability defeats spectacle. In every long game of power, train recovery speed as carefully as you train response quality. The true metric is time from trigger to full baseline return. Shorten it through drills on small provocations during ordinary moments. Wait in lines. Tolerate mild interruptions, and practice the ritual consistently. Small drills build large stability when storms arrive later. Stability becomes your default rather than a costume for conflict. Integrate empathy without surrender, because empathy can calm rooms faster than logic. Acknowledge emotion gently, then restore structure immediately after acknowledgement. Say, I hear the frustration, and we will weigh the facts with care. This blend protects dignity while preventing emotional capture. Compassion plus boundaries is the rare combination that ends chaos, people respect the presence that feels kind yet impossible to push. The final transformation comes when you treat insults as diagnostic tools. Each attack reveals what the other side needs to see from you. Sometimes they need firmness, sometimes clarity, sometimes patience, sometimes closure. You select the response that teaches the correct lesson without cruelty. Teaching through example changes future behavior more effectively than victory. Influence replaces argument, and rooms begin to mirror your cadence. Now hold the central paradox with steady hands. Every insult tries to make you smaller, yet your response can make you larger. Larger does not mean louder. Larger means clearer, slower, and more exact. The insult becomes a lever, and your mind becomes the fulcrum. The moment you see the architecture, control returns to its rightful owner. But ask yourself one more question before you claim this power. What will you do when the insult hides inside gentle praise, and the soft compliment quietly asks you to lower your standards for peace? Do you know why some words pierce faster than blades while others vanish into silence? What if an insult's true weapon is not language but the hidden demand beneath it? If you want to turn every attack into advantage, you must learn to control the hidden demand. An insult is never random. It is a psychological transaction, an attempt to trade your peace for their power. The attacker offers emotion and expects reaction as payment. Once you pay, they own the tempo, the attention, and the frame. So intelligent minds never react. They interrupt the trade before payment leaves. They do this by identifying the exact form of emotional currency being demanded. There are 3 types of demands hidden inside almost every insult. First, the validation demand, the need for you to prove your worth. Second, the compliance demand, the push to make you respond on their timeline. Third, the projection demand, the attempt to make you carry emotions they cannot handle. The one who recognizes the demand dissolves the control instantly, because the manipulator's design depends entirely on your cooperation with the unseen rule. The validation demand says, prove you are not what I called you. The moment you explain, defend, or prove, you accept their judgment as reference. Intelligent minds answer this not with defense but with redefinition. They redefine measurement itself. Say calmly inside, their frame cannot measure me, only my standards can, and your silence becomes statement. Your calm becomes verdict. The compliance demand says, react now, or lose control of the situation. This is why insults feel urgent. They attack your timeline. If you delay response, their entire system collapses. Your power is not in clever words. It is in delayed rhythm. 2 slow breaths before any reply equal 10 sentences of dominance. Silence becomes structure, and urgency becomes their cage. The projection demand says, carry the emotional weight I refuse to feel. People who cannot process anger or shame throw it outward as insult. Their goal is emotional transfer, to make you feel what they fear. You reverse this by emotional containment, not rejection. Feel the energy rise, breathe it once, and keep it inside as data, not injury. When you do not discharge it, projection fails, and the manipulator collapses inward. Intelligent minds never fight insults head-on. They transform the element of attack. Fire becomes mirror, mirror becomes calm, calm becomes frame. Every insult contains information about the attacker's psychological center. They reveal values, insecurities, and what they believe controls others. You do not punish them for revealing it. You observe and learn. The insult becomes intelligence report, not emotional wound, but to perform this transformation. The mind must master latency of reaction. Latency means the delay between stimulus and expression. Ordinary people have 1 second of latency. Trained minds have 3 or more. In those 3 seconds, perception switches from emotion to architecture. You stop seeing the insult as attack and start seeing it as pattern. And once you see pattern, you already hold control. Practice this through the micro-pause technique. Whenever words sting, freeze movement without freezing awareness. Keep your shoulders loose, jaw soft, breath neutral. You are not suppressing emotion. You are holding it still long enough to classify. Every second of stillness increases clarity by geometric growth. Soon, you can see motives forming behind every word. Before it lands fully, then comes linguistic redirection, a higher form of verbal defense. You take the sting, neutralize it, and return structure, not emotion, Say that is one perspective, but let us test it with evidence. Say, you might be right in part. Let's measure it clearly. You do not reject or agree. You redirect attention to verification. This shifts power from emotion to logic in one movement. Machiavellian. Intelligence uses insult as diagnostic tool. Who insults you and how reveals what they fear. Most if they attack your calm. They crave control. If they attack your ethics, they crave moral superiority. If they attack your intellect, they crave validation. You learn more from an insult than from a compliment if you stay detached. But staying detached is not enough. You must signal detachment correctly. Detachment must look natural, not defensive. Too much silence feels like retreat. Too much talking feels like defense. The correct posture is measured engagement. Eyes steady, breath calm, response brief. Say one grounded line, then hold pause until the space resets. That space becomes your invisible territory of control. Use timing as weapon, not volume. The first to speak after an insult reveals emotional position. The disciplined one speaks second, or not at all, and the crowd notices subconsciously. The room starts to orbit the quieter force because stillness feels like certainty. Certainty, not aggression, is what commands human attention, and attention defines who holds the frame. Now understand the paradox of calmness. It must never become pride. Once you admire your composure, you begin to perform it for validation. Performance invites new forms of attack that target your image of control. True mastery is invisible. It does not need recognition. You remain calm not to appear powerful, but to remain precise. Precision always outlives appearance. You can also use calibrated empathy to dissolve insults elegantly. Acknowledge emotion without accepting definition. Say, I see that you are frustrated, but we can stay factual. This shows maturity while denying emotional capture. Most manipulators lose direction when empathy appears without weakness. They expected resistance, not understanding, and that confuses their rhythm. Every insult is a choice point, reaction or redirection. Reaction builds their frame. Redirection builds yours. Reaction bleeds attention outward. Redirection draws it inward. This is why intelligent minds look unbothered, not because they feel nothing, but because they are busy reorganizing meaning while others perform emotion. Their silence is not absence. It is reconstruction. Once you master this, you gain access to higher communication control. Reverse. Anchoring. Anchoring means linking emotion to stimulus. Reverse anchoring means linking calm to provocation. Train your nervous system to relax the moment attack appears. With repetition, insult becomes trigger for deeper focus. Instead of defense, the attacker unknowingly sharpens your awareness instead of breaking it. You will reach a level where provocation becomes reflection. You hear the insult and think, so this is how unregulated minds sound. Judgment fades, curiosity grows, authority emerges naturally. You no longer need to prove power. Your existence proves it. People begin self-regulating around you because your energy refuses chaos, and that is the final sign of mastery. Others change their tone before you speak, but there is still a hidden test ahead, one more subtle than insult itself. What happens when someone disguises manipulation inside respect? When praise becomes the leash that tames your intelligence, and politeness becomes the tool that controls your calm? Do you know that flattery can pierce deeper than insult when used with precision? What if the sweetest words are simply polished weapons for hidden control? If you wish to remain untouchable, you must see how praise can train obedience. Intelligent manipulation rarely attacks. It admires because direct conflict awakens awareness. But approval lulls it to sleep. When someone flatters you, they hand you a mirror that reflects your favorite image. The moment you admire that image, you hand them invisible leverage. You start behaving in ways that protect the reflection they gave you, and without realizing, you begin performing their version of yourself. Praise is the most elegant form of conditioning. It rewards the behavior that benefits the flatterer, while disguising control as appreciation. They smile, you comply, and both call it respect. This is how emotional capture happens, not through threat, but through comfort. Comfort is the true leash. Fear only works on the untrained. But comfort trains the intelligent because it feels voluntary. To stay powerful, you must decode the 3 layers of strategic praise. First, Identity praise, where you are admired for who you are. Second, moral praise, where your goodness is highlighted to lock future compliance. Third, intellectual praise, where your intelligence is admired to control your ego. Each layer builds subtle dependency, unless you maintain awareness of purpose, because every compliment carries an implicit instruction. Keep being this way. Identity praise sounds harmless. You're always so calm, so composed, so mature, but hidden inside is a warning. Don't break character. You stop expressing full emotion because calm has become your label. You guard the image instead of the truth. This is not discipline anymore. It is self-censorship in disguise. Moral praise feels even safer, yet binds you tighter. You're too kind to ever hurt anyone. You smile, but now your boundaries weaken when you finally need to say no. Guilt whispers that you are betraying goodness. This is how manipulators weaponize virtue. They turn your values into shackles. Moral flattery builds cages made of ethics, not chains. Intellectual praise is the most dangerous because it feeds pride. You're smarter than everyone else. You see through everything. Ego swells, detachment fades, and critical thinking softens, because now you must maintain the illusion of brilliance. Every correction feels like insult. Every disagreement like threat. Praise transforms clarity into performance, and performance ruins perception. The antidote to all three is neutral acknowledgement. Neutral acknowledgement accepts words without absorbing their hidden contract. When someone compliments you, reply with calm simplicity. Say, "Thank you. That's kind," and change topic gently. Do not expand. Do not mirror. Do not justify. Awareness without reciprocation keeps your energy unhooked. Machiavellian intelligence never rejects kindness, but inspects intention. Ask yourself quietly, what behavior does this praise reward? If it reinforces calmness, obedience, or flattery exchange, slow down. If it recognizes substance, clarity, or fairness, keep it. Not all praise manipulates, but all praise tests awareness. Your task is not suspicion. It is balance between gratitude and sovereignty. Understand that emotional control does not mean emotional starvation. You can receive warmth without surrendering autonomy. You can appreciate respect without depending on it. The trick is to separate appreciation from attachment. Appreciation feels light. Attachment feels heavy. The heaviness of praise means your ego has started taking orders. To protect your clarity, install an internal truth filter. Every time someone praises you, silently ask, is this true in context? If it feels inflated, correct it mentally to its realistic size. If they say, "You're always calm," reframe it internally as, "I stay calm often." This private correction maintains humility and prevents hypnosis by admiration. Truth filter is the firewall of emotional intelligence. But there is another weapon hidden beneath praise. Reciprocal. Obligation flattery often creates invisible debt. They give you admiration. You give them tolerance, so when they cross small lines, you excuse it because they were kind. Soon kindness buys silence, and silence protects their advantage. Intelligent minds never spend integrity to pay emotional debt. Observe the rhythm of those who flatter. Manipulative praise always comes before a request or test. Authentic praise comes after clear action with no hidden motive. If warmth appears too early, it is bait. If gratitude appears after proof, it is trust. Sequence reveals motive more clearly than tone. Advanced manipulators also use mirrored humility. They praise you while lowering themselves slightly, saying things like, "You're so good at this. I could never do it like you." It sounds humble. But the goal is inversion, to make you lower guard. You compensate their self-deprecation by offering validation, and the exchange flips. The praised becomes the one giving reassurance, losing psychological position. Intelligent. Composure means refusing to perform emotional equality where hierarchy is hidden. Do not rush to level energy when someone praises too much. Balance it by anchoring the moment back to reason. Say, "We both have our strengths, let's focus on the next step." Neutrality closes the door without hostility. You remain kind, but unavailable for subtle games. But mastery goes beyond defense. It uses flattery as feedback mirror. How people praise you reveals what traits you broadcast most strongly. When compliments repeat around certain qualities, Those qualities are your reputation. Study what people reflect. It tells you what aura you project. If the reflection misaligns with truth, recalibrate behavior quietly. This turns manipulation into measurement, control reclaimed through insight. The ultimate test, however, is not in rejecting false praise. It is staying centered when the world admires your control itself. When they call you unshakable, wise, or untouchable, your ego listens. And the moment you start protecting that image, you stop evolving. Discipline turns into display, mastery turns into mask, intelligence turns into idol. That is how power quietly imprisons itself. So the rule is simple yet brutal. Receive every word, but own none of them. You are not your image. You are your awareness of it. Flattery loses magic when the mirror sees the mirror, and in that moment, you become untouchable, not by resistance, but by recognition. But here lies the final twist that few ever see. What happens when neither insult nor praise moves you anymore? When calm becomes total and emotion seems unnecessary? How do you stay human while remaining invincible? Do you know that the last illusion of control is believing you no longer need emotion? What if the mind that feels invincible becomes its own silent manipulator? If you want to stay human while remaining powerful, you must master the balance between steel and soul. Emotional discipline is not emotional extinction. When stillness hardens, wisdom turns into stone. You start mistaking numbness for strength and detachment for enlightenment. But the absence of feeling is not mastery. It is disconnection. True mastery allows emotion to exist under command, not behind walls. The mind must feel, but never kneel. Intelligent control requires rhythm, not rigidity. Rigidity breaks under pressure. Rhythm absorbs and redirects. You must let emotion move. But within design, anger becomes information. Sadness becomes depth. Joy becomes strategy. The moment you fear emotion, you have already surrendered control, because what you fear secretly commands you to integrate feeling and control. You must understand emotional transmutation. Transmutation is not suppression. It is redirection of emotional energy into useful form. You do this through awareness and framing, not denial. When anger rises, translate it into clarity of boundary. When fear rises, convert it into precision of preparation. When sadness appears, let it deepen perception before returning to focus. Emotion becomes energy, not enemy. This is the hidden law of higher composure. Emotion is raw power. Control is form. Both are meaningless alone. Too much control and you lose humanity. Too much feeling and you lose strategy. Intelligent minds live at the center, where both coexist as allies. This center is where calm becomes presence instead of performance. People feel it before they understand it, and that is real influence. The mistake of many disciplined minds is they start worshiping calmness itself. They chase perfection of control like an identity, and when they finally reach total composure, emptiness appears. Life feels too predictable, too clean, too cold, because in sterilizing emotion, they sterilized connection. This is how power isolates its owner, not through hate, but through detachment. To prevent that descent, the mind must practice humble re-engagement. Engage with ordinary emotions intentionally, like a warrior returning to training. Allow discomfort, small conflict, mild embarrassment, and temporary loss. These keep your emotional muscles flexible without losing balance. The untested calm is fragile. The challenged calm becomes real. Humility keeps your control alive by keeping it human. Remember, Machiavellian intelligence was never about superiority. It was about reading human nature without drowning in it. You must not escape humanity. You must understand it so deeply that you can guide it. People follow not cold minds, but balanced ones, firm yet compassionate. The presence that feels safe and strong at once becomes magnetic, and such presence cannot be faked. It must be lived. Influence built on fear collapses. When the power shifts, influence built on admiration fades when novelty dies, but influence built on balanced awareness endures, because it teaches others awareness too. You rise not by controlling people, but by controlling the atmosphere around them. Your composure changes the emotional weather in every room you enter, and the highest authority is the one that never needs to assert it. So, let us connect every secret you have learned so far. Insults tried to provoke you. You turned them into mirrors. Flattery tried to shape you. You turned it into data. Silence tried to test you. You used it as canvas. Emotion tried to dominate you. You converted it into rhythm. Through each transformation, awareness stayed central, and choice remained yours. This is the architecture of psychological mastery. But the last and most sacred principle is this: use control only to create balance. Control without compassion becomes tyranny, even over yourself. Compassion without control becomes chaos. The fusion of both is elegance, effortless power that feels alive, not forced. When calm protects truth instead of ego, it evolves into wisdom. When emotion serves understanding instead of impulse, it becomes strength. You will know you have reached true mastery when calm no longer feels like effort. You no longer hold silence. Silence holds you. You no longer avoid chaos. Chaos obeys your presence, and you no longer hide emotion. Emotion aligns itself with purpose. You become transparent, still, clear, and entirely human. Your mind turns each attack, each praise, and each feeling into refinement. This is what Machiavelli's forgotten principle truly meant. Power is never about domination. It is about maintaining clarity while surrounded by influence. Every insult becomes a lesson. Every compliment becomes a mirror. Every emotion becomes an ally. The battlefield was never out there. It was always inside the mind. And those who master that battlefield never lose again, because there is nothing left to conquer. So now the question returns to you, sharper than before, when the next attack comes dressed as admiration. When calm tempts you to disconnect from feeling, will you remain merely unshakable? Or will you evolve into something rarer, the mind that commands power and still remembers how to feel?